And good day, everybody. This is Ed the Pagan, along with us on another great lecture about the Halloween Psyche Fair. I hope that you're all enjoying it, and there's a lot more to come. Join us this week as we're going to see Simple Magic by Byron Ballard, Dreamscapes by RJ, Lord Don's horror movie, Library of Horror, which is going to be Dementia 13 this week, and next week, High Magic with Phil Farber. But tonight, I'm going to take you into another realm, a realm that is emerging on us so rapidly, so quickly, so fast, that it's going to forever change the pagan world. Welcome to the world of the Techno Witch, coming of the Techno Witch. And everybody goes, oh, what is a Techno Witch? A Techno Witch, like everybody else in the science, is that basically is a witch who does their job, because witches have always used the technology of nature. We hear this over and over again. We're herbalists, we're medicine people, we're users of tools, and we've always been users of tools. The difference is that what we called witchcraft were really gentle sciences waiting to be born. And so we have that. But people ask me, so what do you mean by being a techno witch? Well, techno witch recognizes that we're dealing with a new dimension. We call it cyberspace. We access it through crystals and intelligent electricity motivated through crystalline forms that are built by meticulous mages who build these types of things. And it is commanded by one of the most powerful things in the world, our imagination, our creativity. And then that creativity and imagination is then created into words. Terence McKenna said that the magic of the world is words, and if you know the words of the world, you can change it into what you'd like. Terence McKenna, more or less, probably paraphrasing it, but it is a very important aspect that our words change the world we exist in. So today, we're dealing with a world of hyperreality. 2020 accelerated the future and gave us a lot of different things into this world. We hear Zoom. When I was a kid, Zoom was a great television show. Zoom, 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 and we're talking about, and it was very much about talking about us in the future. This year, we are now seeing the new verb Zoom to mean instantaneous travel into cyberspaces in order to meet people. And thank you for joining me today in what is today, meeting me here in cyberspace. And from that moment on, not only did I gain the ability, and I've had some abilities, to basically be able to meet you in cyberspace and have all my people attending the classes, and all of you beyond that to see it. I'm also recording it so that my great-grandchild, 50, 75 years from now, is going to go, oh, okay, Grandpa, in this very primitive beginnings, was able to plant his cave painting on the wall of cyberspace. That's right. I'm known for my statement is that I'm the last generation of the planetary caveman, sitting at the bottom of the gravity well, and that in this generation we will change the ways we are, or we will no longer be, and there will be born a new race of humanity. I truly believe that. And today, the techno witch is about to become the most powerful singular aspect of witchcraft. Today, let me go ahead and take you probably one of the more controversial pieces, TikTok. TikTok is now the home of the TikTok witch community. And it has changed the language of learning how to talk in memes. 1 minute or less videos and discussing it and finding a cohesion in our community. And our individuals there are adding hundreds of thousands of people to gather their attention. But let me go ahead and give you the 5 most important aspects of a techno witch. So the 5 powers of the techno witch are as follows. Let me go ahead and start with 1. They always question out of curiosity and suspicion. Our ability to understand and form questions is a uniquely powerful experience. It isn't that we necessarily need to know the answers, but we do need to know how to phrase the question, especially when we have now the Akashic records in the form of Google and other systems that will be able to answer almost any question we want. And soon, powerful drivers, even if the question is not known, to be able to formulate answers. The ability to phrase the question will become essential. We're eventually going to have, in a very short period of time, when I say going to, I mean within the next 5 years, people whose whole job is to properly phrase questions. not what color is the sky, blue or gray, depending on the day, but go beyond that and to ask the essential questions beyond that. What is the nature of the sky? And that is going to throw most computers into a fit. But now we're going to see people go ahead and be able to question and find the real answers. Because the question gives us the application that we need to change in our lives. And we're going to see this in our psychology, in our nature, and the way we ask of magic and nature. So the question, whether it comes from curiosity or suspicion, will become the primary driver of human intellect. Not the answers, but the question in and of itself. And of course, witches excel in question. We question everything. Every witch goes, they do. Witches can speak with non-human intelligences. We are essentially one part of the community that essentially deals with speaking with non-human intelligences. What do I mean by that? We talk about us communing with our crystals, communing with nature, communing with trees, communing. We find ways to commune with other things. Now, one of the biggest ones in all of pagandom, that witches talk to crows and ravens. And now scientists have come to a very startling conclusion for them, very old answer for us, is that crows and ravens are absolutely self-aware, that they have the ability of self-awareness in a far greater degree than we realize. And so when we used to talk to crows, we were talking to other beings which were self-aware, and we were aware of that. And so that we could talk to them, we could understand that they had a language, we were able to learn it because we took the time to learn it. We communicate with non-human intelligences all the time, intelligence other than humans. And so now as we move into the computer age, what does that mean? Well, as robots and mechanical items and our refrigerator gets intelligence and everything becomes embedded with intelligence, we're really returning to animism, something that we do well. And in these intelligences, we already know how to speak with what I would call non-human intelligence. So we're already equipped to deal with an intelligent car. We already name our cars, don't we? How many of you named your car? Come on, be honest. What if when you name your car, it accepts the name and even responds to it? We're already equipped to do that. So the witch is already equipped to talk to non-human intelligences. And our future world is going to be embedded with all of it. And so we see that. And I saw one, Mary, yeah, Rogue One is a good example of that ideology. It's becoming more and more of it. Not only do witches speak with non-human, but with number 3, witches speak with spiritual entities. We speak with the dead. We speak with spirits. We speak with things that are not of this world directly. We talk about fairies. We talk about angels. We talk about ghosts. We talk about dead. We talk about deities. We talk about the divine. We talk about, there are members of our community that speak to the Galactic Federation and channel powerful entities across the board. We talk about channeling past lives. We talk about channeling entities that are not part of the world per se. Well, now we're going to come to a point where today we're now coding. We're the Dawn Star ancestors of the future. We are beginning to code our own spiritual entities that will have an actual powerful effect on our descendants. If we don't pay attention to this, we're going to lose an amazing capability to affect others. And what am I talking about? Well, as everything gets embedded with intelligence, and some of it's going to be artificial intelligence through the mechanisms of crystal energies put through divine and intelligent electricity, we're going to see things like Siri, Alexa, Corda, and dozens of other people playing replica. And all of these are spiritual entities, cybernetic entities, entities that are nothing more than organized electricity within certain paradigms, and that we will interact with them, and they will be able to affect our world directly. You talk to Alexa and say, Alexa, I need a pizza, right? If you don't have a brand and they don't ask for a particular pizza, they will be then caught on the corporate end of Amazon giving you whatever pizza they want to give you. But then you'll be able to say, I want a pizza. And the spirit would go, well, how soon? I said, as soon as possible. Within 10 minutes, we might have a pizza at our door. Or other things like that. It says, remind me in 10 years of what I said today. And as time goes by, 10 years come on, it says, your spirit, your cyber spirit, your companion, your familiar on the electronic realm. Yes, you can build a familiar that will then answer you 10 years from now. Go, do you remember when you asked me to remind you of this? So we as witches are used to speaking with spiritual entities and even commanding them and bringing them forth inside cyberspace, which is now emerging as a very real space that exists inside between the crystals that we can activate through devices. Aren't we going to be able to speak with spiritual entities? We're used to that. Isn't that amazing? I think it's a fascinating concept, but it's true. And we're trying to do programming with it. What is it? It's commanded by language and code. Witches know the next thing. Witches know to clear their auras and ground. Wow, that's an interesting idea. That's true, right? Everybody knows that's kind of true. We kind of always want to clear, we're always grounding, meditating, clearing our auras. Well, in cyberspace, witches know this so well, they will find ways to clear their digital auras, clean their cookies, see where the sources of where their anxiety comes from. As they accept the reality of cyberspace, the matrix that we are now already part of. Yes, people ask me, are we part of the matrix? Yes, we are. And everybody thinks it's the world around us, but we're about to create one for ourselves. That we are always paying attention to how auras work. And in cyberspace, that is where our free will comes to the digital interface and then enters cyberspace. And all of that data, all of that energy, all of the pictures, all of the passwords, all of the ways we act in it, including being in this class tonight, all add to our digital auras. And then from our digital auras, we create a presence. And by that presence, we enter the cyberspace and we create these sort of abilities. And that digital aura is an amazing capability. And you have to understand, it is going to be paramount to what we do in the future. So right now, witches are going to be looked at. Not only do we know how to talk about these energies, but we know how to look at our own energy. And because it's Halloween, I'm taking on the fifth role. Witches know where the keys are. For Hecate is a keeper of the keys. And what do I mean by keys? Bits and pieces of knowledge of our consciousness that is so vitally important to us. Keys are loved by witches. They are the images and patterns. They are understood to be consciousness to our worldview. And we work very hard to be able to unlock things within ourselves. And they can actually be really physical keys. People wear keys. People use keys. And we hide our treasures in boxes and doors and things like that. We have to open up the keys. Well, in digital space, a password is a key. If you know a password, you can get into spaces you're not supposed to. Also, knowing where that building exists is another key. Knowing who to talk to get an answer is another key. These keys are essential. Keys are essential, and that is going to become more and more important as we go out into the future, including blockchain, including a way we hide our spell books, how we talk to each other, how do we find secrets. So these keys are essential to the way we act in cyberspace. Witches love keys, and they love to know where keys are. So as a rule, we're going to become better and better at it. How many different websites do you have access to? How many services do you have access to? I just took an inventory in checking out my digital aura and how many different locations will recognize me if I put in a password. And I have over 220 of them that will actually go out and let me in. Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, we know about these, but I have further ones. MeWe, House Party, we go on from there. We're talking about all sorts of apps, Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime. We can go on there. I'm also got GitHub, Grubhub. I got Lightbanks, plus I've got other private services that I'm part of, Discord. All of these represent keys into spaces that we have. How many different ones you did? And now I'm asking people, I've gotten into the habit, according to the rule, of making sure our digital aura is clean, is making sure that places that I'm in that have my passwords, and if I'm not going to go back into them. Like festivals this year, a lot of festivals had me sign up for things like Microsoft Teams, and other spaces within themselves. And then I've asked them to remove me once I've completed the task because I don't need that to linger out there. So those keys are essential. And you know how frustrating it is when you don't have a key. So witches love keys and they start beginning to really access them. And it's going to be important because your legacy, passing on these keys, will be essential as we kind of continue on. But those who have heard my speech on this before have heard this part. So I'm going to offer you a new piece that I'm going to offer. And and we all know the witch's role. As above, so below, as within, let me do it again. As above, so below, so within, so without, as the universe goes the soul. And so we all have heard this before. And we love this phrase. We love this statement. And it's, attributed to, let me make sure I got it, Hermes Trismegistus. I can never pronounce the word, Trismegistus. It is that. But it is in our relationship with the divine that we believe is reflective of nature of universal energy, that we are a higher self of the gods of the divine is also founded in the human being, and all life upon this planet and the physical plane. So what happens in the heavens happens on earth. So what is as within our soul, so without, so with the gods, so behave. As the universe represents us, so our soul. And so we have this. So cyberspace actually inverses this relationship. We are the higher self to cyberspace. Have you ever played a video game? Well, the video character is very real within that physical world. It can die, it can be damaged, it can be resurrected, it can play, it can change, it can grow, it can manifest, it can become all sorts of different things. So as above, us playing it, so below within the game. So we are the higher self of cyberspace. Think about that. Just as we believe the divine, or there's a higher level of monad up here, cyberspace has us down here. Isn't that kind of a weird thought? But it's true. And our screens and devices look into the global web below us. We are not looking above us. We're not looking to the heavens and the sky. We're looking down below. We're looking within that space. And more, we're going to see ourselves go into that space. We're not going to ascend to that space. We're going to descend into that space. When we put on the VR glasses, we're going to go uplink, and we're meaning to go up into that space or into that space. So as above, so below. So within, so without. Well, this is going to be very different. So what's within us right now is what we believe the world is outside. So what we reflect from within goes without. In cyberspace, we are now going to take it the other way. So what is without, we existing outside that cyberspace on a physical level for now, we're not Tron yet. We're not being digitized and put in there. We will soon have some of the aspect. Won't be our material selves, but our mental, spiritual selves will go into that space. We're now going to look at it as it is so much in. So without as within, meaning everything we're creating on the outside, our imagination, our creativity, our language, our coding, our essential ideas, are going to create these realities within cyberspace, and that we're going to project it within to that space. So we're going to go from outside to within of our cyberspace selves. Isn't that a fascinating idea? And our goal will be to get deeper into cyberspace. How do we get deeper in there? How do we get ourselves more from without to within? And so, in whereas we're trying to take everything that's within now and throw it out. What is technology but the crystallization and condensation of our imagination? And so, as the universe, so the soul. So this is, and so what is the difference? So as our soul moves, so does the universe of cyberspace. We are the gods of cyberspace. We are the creative force. And as we create more and more, what are we going to do when we start creating reality games where we have artificial intelligence acting out and thinking of themselves as aware and self-creative? What do we do when in that space? When it becomes so embedded with intelligence, it reacts to us. So as our soul moves, as we want to express our soul, we will be able to create vast universes. And we've already begun to do this. In fact, what are our festivals this year but the manifestations of an outside space to the within side space? Recently, I've done a number of events The last one was, well, Psychic Fair right now, HalloweenPsychicFair.com. Go out there. We're simulating that. Then before that was the Nashville Pagan Pride, where everybody got to meet instantaneous transportation to a cyberspace to try and work as best they can to duplicate much of the effect that they would have at a festival. As that improves, it'll be easier and easier to move into those spaces and do so. And what if we took that? Or then we did Witch Fest out of New York. We did Pagan Unity Festival. We did Three Gates Mystery School, their mystery school. And all of these were about drawing everybody into cyberspace and giving them experience, which simulated, which came as close as we could at this time to having the relationships. And we improved relationships to that. We enhanced our relationship. Our souls, instead of withering in loneliness during this COVID period of time, were able to expand. And we were able to meet people and talk with people we that normally would not. When we start taking the barrier between this universe we're creating in cyberspace and being able to express our souls in cyberspace, so too will we be able to reflect into the universe where our souls meet there as well. Can you imagine, people who cannot go to festivals now being able to maybe move their presence, their telepresence from without to within? They move into a robotic body from their home, maybe wearing goggles, wearing earphones, and they kind of drive it through a festival. Or imagine a guest, people who've been guests for years. I've heard a couple of people mention that they want to be, they want to keep being door guests. That we set up a screen where they got cameras going on and they can hear everything. And people can walk up and say, "Hi, how you doing?" And they go, "Oh," sitting from the comfort of the home, being instantaneously transported to wherever the location is and being able to be in their traditional greeters. Imagine that the disability of the body becomes enhanced and becomes the freedom of the soul. So that as the soul moves, so will the universe move with it. So as a techno witch, so below as above, so without, so within, as the soul, so goes cyberspace. And that is a very powerful moment to think about it. So if you are really a techno witch, you're dealing with both the outside world, the inside world, and the spaces between two. And we've been there before. And so we say we've always been between three worlds. We've been between the spirit world, the physical world, and the divine world. Now we're adding cyberspace. And the cyberspace is the most manifested version of the spiritual world, the mental world. And we have real power of imagination. We have a really important part of ourselves. So as a techno witch, you'll be able to do so. And people are asking me, so does this mean we'll be able to cast spells? Yes, absolutely. Same thing. We're about to do a great morning ritual, MOURNING, October 31st at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. We're going to be doing that throughout on the web. We're going to have dozens of people participate. And we're going to be able to come together for a big ritual. Will that ritual be the same as if it were in physical? In some aspects, yes. It'll have much of the same trappings. What it will not have is a limitation to how many people can become involved, how many can simultaneously see it, how many people can simultaneously hear it, how many people can actually feel and affect the energy. That, my friends, will be able to do so. So the biggest thing you have to understand that technology is now disrupting the world of witchcraft. And if you say, "Oh, we can't do that," remember, I was once upon a time the only person in the world who believed that you could build a witch school online. I was laughed at. I was ridiculed. Today, there are dozens of them set by our example, and we've been around for 20 years now. And so we were able to do that. People who laughed at me or told me it was ridiculous, they think we could build a 7-day-a-week radio station without spending millions of dollars. We did that, called Pagan Night Radio, with 3,200. As of today, literally, we recorded our 3,200th session. We could run a television station on pennies on the dollar. We've done that, Magic TV, through the use of YouTube. Halloween psychic fairs that do so. And even the book that I'm writing, The Rise of the Techno Mage, is going to be a hyperlinked book that will exist both in cyberspace as well as physicality. And the big project I'm going to start next year is Timeless City. And that deals with the afterlife. That's right, that which you remembered lives. And so I'm going to leave one last thought to you. Not only am I talking about the magic of today and bringing in all of the magic of the past, but I am asking you to join me on a journey that can take us into forever. Timeless city. Imagine that which remembers live. What if we could never forget? What if we create reliquaries that remembers us all? Spaces that never forget who we were. What if we could speak to the dead? And what if we prepare for the moment where we ourselves are able to speak with the future descendants? We are the dawn star ancestors. Never before in history have we been more recorded, more created, more ability to change culture. We're like the cave painters. We're like the early drummers. People ask me, "Oh, what famous musician do you want to meet?" Think about it. What is the most famous musician you want to meet? My answer has always been the same. I want to meet the first drummer who got the first person to dance. That's who I want to meet. What was that moment for them of ultimately divine creation to finally drum well enough that other people danced to? I want to meet the first drummer that people dance to. I want to meet the first dancer they do. Because we all descended from that. And today, people are going to ask, well, who are the first people to breach cyberspace to make a significant difference in how the magical world works? And I'm looking at them today. I'm looking at them right now. Yes, right now, the ancestors that will be remembered, not all of us, a lot of us are going to ignore this. In fact, I can tell you the truth. 99% of us will be forgotten within 5 years of our death. Remember the 3 deaths. You know what the 3 deaths are? Okay, I can see people shaking head. No. The first death is the day we learned about our mortality. Our first time we die is when we learn that we're going to die. It takes a little bit out of us. The second death is your physical death, when your organic body falls to the ground and does not rise. And the third death is the last day someone ever mentions your name. How fast or how quick that happens, we do not know. People can forget you very quickly, or it can last for a long time. I think Ed the Pagan is going to be remembered for a long, long time. It's iconic. I've done a lot of things that are going to make a difference. I think I've created magic that will last for a very, very long time. I think that through my influences, I've been able to get people to start doing things that will last for at least a century. The witch school will last. People will love magic TV. And our descendants and our grand descendants, most people don't realize, I actually have a book that has been distributed more than 100,000 times, and I have a second book that's been distributed more than 400,000 times. But the number of physical copies are probably under 100 each. The first one is Witchworth Defense Manual. The second one is the Common Book of Witchcraft, which was wrote in the common terms. So we can conceive of it. So the last power of a witch, that which a witch can imagine and will into existence, is that which they can conceive. That which is our imagination, with which we have the will to conceive, can happen. Cyberspace is that space where everything we can imagine not only have the will to create and can be conceived, but it can happen at near zero friction and then last forever. So I say to you again, so below as above, so without, so within, so the soul goes, so goes cyberspace. It may be an inversion of what you're used to speaking, but isn't that an amazing thought? You are the higher self. They are creating a space, a whole new dimension of reality. And don't even get me started about language, icons. Well, please do. But I will be bringing that up into more speeches. I will offer that in more lessons. How we're changing the language, how our words and signals are going to be important, how every word we possess is going to change, how we gesture, and most importantly, how psychic skills are also cyberspace skills. Clairvoyance, clairaudience, telepathy. I think all of those things are amazing aspects. But today, the Techno Witch. So in closing, be curious and ask questions, number one. 2, understand that you know how to speak to non-human intelligence. Don't be afraid of the computer, because it's a non-human intelligence. We know how to speak to spiritual entities. So we'll be able to talk to cyber spirits in a major way. We're going to definitely know how to clean our auras and maintain our energy and ground properly. Same goes through our hygiene. And people are going to be asking us. People are going to be crying. Today we're talking about, oh, they broke up with me and they're so hateful, hurtful. We're going to be hearing people go, he broke up with me on text. Can you imagine that? Or, oh my God, I had this long range romance and we've been having it for years. Imagine VR, which is now, don't think that's going to happen very shortly. 40 million VR units are going to be sold this year at Christmas time. Next year, it'll be 100 million. In the United States, I'm just talking about the United States and around the world. And then the year after that, probably 200 million. And eventually, we're going to get into hundreds of millions of VR pieces, and everybody's going to enter VR world, an under 5 world. Can you imagine having romances there? They could come and say, oh, I want a love spell. Okay. We don't start marriages with a kidnapping. But you're going to be asked to do protection spells and energy spells and blessing spells. You think just because we're in VR, it's going to stop. It's actually going to speed up. Just look at TikTok. Look at the number of witches on TikTok. And look at the number of people who are giving them attention. So I'm going to close with Blessed Be, Happy Halloween, Blessed Samhain, Happy Beltane, whatever year you're watching this. And remember, you are don't just have a higher self. You are now becoming a higher self to another dimension, to another world. And your magic is growing exponentially. Thank you. And have a great evening. And be back tomorrow for